A very good morning to all. Today we are going to discuss a new topic, and that is about separation of solids. In the last class we discussed about pure substances and mixtures, right? Then we learned why do we separate things. So why do we separate things? In order to remove unwanted substances, then in order to separate useful substances. So now let's see the methods of separation. So the different methods of separation. So here you can see the different methods of separation of solids. That is, the first one is hand picking, then sieving, then winnowing, then threshing. So these are the different methods of separation. So which are they? The first one is hand picking. Which is the second one? Sieving. Then winnowing. The last one is threshing. So these are the different methods of separation. So let's discuss each of these methods one by one. So which is the first one? The first one is hand picking. So you all might have seen when your mother cooks food in the kitchen. So while preparing for the food, sometimes she used to pick the small stones or the dark substances that are found in the food grains or pulses. Right. So she used her hands to pick these unwanted substances from the food grains or pulses. When you use your hands to pick something and separate, that process we call it as hand picking. See the word hand picking, which means picking with your hands. So here when you use your hands to separate something, when you use your hands to pick something and separate, so that process we call it as hand picking. So do you all remember the example that we discussed in the last class? That is picking up the peas from the fried rice. So here you use your hands to pick the peas from the fried rice. So that is hand picking. So when you use your hands to pick something and separate, so that process what do we call? We call it as hand picking. So that is one method of separation. Moving to the second method. As you can see here, what it is called? It is called sieving. So what is sieving? It is a method of separating particles of different sizes with the help of a sieve. You can see the picture of the sieve here. So what is sieving? It is a process of separating particles of different sizes with the help of a sieve. So that is called as sieving. So here you can see the rice flour is being sieved. So the rice flour is being sieved in order to separate the particles from it. So that process what do we call? We call it as sieving. It means it is the process of separating particles with the help of a sieve. So that process we call it as sieving. So sieves are mostly made from a wire mesh, that means a metal wire or a metal plate with holes in it. So the size of the mesh or holes depends on the size of the substance which is to be separated. So you all can go to the kitchen and you can just see the sieve that we use in the kitchen, that we use for separating different substances. That is the second method of separation, that is sieving. So what is sieving? Sieving means it is the process of separating particles of different sizes with the help of a sieve. So that is called as sieving. Moving to the third method. So the third method of separation, and that is winnowing. So what is winnowing? It is a method of separating heavier and lighter components of a mixture. That is called winnowing. So what is winnowing? Winnowing means it is the process of separating heavier and lighter components of a mixture. So that is called winnowing. So this process is a very age-old method. It is a very age-old method which is used for separating husk from grains and pulses. Have you seen husk? What is this husk? Husk means it is the outer covering of the food grains or pulses. So that is husk. So this method is used for separating husk from food grains and pulses. So farmers use this method to separate husk from food grains. So husk means it is the outer covering of the food grains and pulses. So as you can see in this picture, so this person is dropping this mixture from a certain height. See how she is doing? So here this person is dropping this mixture from a certain height where the wind carries the lighter particles away and the heavier particles falls near to them. So that process we call it as winnowing. So let me explain to you once again. So winnowing is the process of separating lighter and heavier components of a mixture. So here in this picture you can see this person is dropping a mixture of lighter and heavier substances and she is dropping it from a certain height. So this lighter substances, it falls away. The wind carries these lighter substances away. And what about the heavier particles? The heavier particles falls near to them. So this is how they separate the lighter and heavier components of a mixture using the method of winnowing. Nowadays, this process is done with the help of machines. So that is the third method of separation and it is winnowing. So moving to the next method of separation, that is threshing. So have you heard of the term threshing? So what is the meaning of threshing? So threshing actually means taking something and beating it up properly. So that is the meaning of threshing. So in terms of crops, what this threshing means, that is when a paddy crop or a wheat crop, when they are ready, when the crops are ready, the stalks are cut and they are dried in the sun. Then this dried stalks are beaten to free the grains from the stalks. So that process we call it as threshing. So what it is? The dried stalks are beaten up properly to free the grains from the stalk. So that process we call it as threshing. So nowadays it is done by machines which is called as threshers. So such machines are used in order to separate grains from stalks. So that process we call it as threshing. It is a process of separating grains from stalks. So that process we call it as threshing. So in this class we discussed about the different methods of separation. So which is the first method that we discussed, that is hand picking. So what is hand picking? Using your hands to pick up something and separating. That is hand picking. Which is the second method that we discussed? We discussed about sieving. Here we use a sieve in order to separate particles of different sizes. Which is the third method? The third method is winnowing. So this method is used to separate lighter and heavier components of a mixture. And which is the last one? The last method of separation, that is threshing. That is, it is a process of separating grains from the stalks. So that process is called as threshing. So these are the different methods of separation. So why do we separate things? We separate things in order to remove unwanted substances, then to separate useful substances. So the next one is activity. So you have activity in page number 63, that is activity shown. So following items are given: wheat or rice flour, whole wheat or rice, then cumin or mustard seeds, sugar. So these are the following items given and you have to sieve the following items using a household sieve and then you have to record your observation in the table. So I hope this class was clear to you. We'll meet in the next class and discuss a new topic. Till then, thank you.